Greetings, reelers. My name is Philip, and together with my wife Sherry and two of our friends, Chris and James, we're Fellowship of the Reel. Four people who love talking about movies almost as much as we do watching them. We hope you will join us as we dig deep into cinematic masterpieces and some that are, well, maybe not. You have an opportunity to be the fifth host of our little show. Click the link in the show notes and leave us a voice message telling us what movie you would like us to review. You can also reach out on our Facebook page, Fellowship of the Reel. From all of us at Fellowship of the Reel, thanks for listening. Okay, on with the show. At this point in the movie, I'm like, okay, well, here's what you should have done. And I'm thinking...
Yeah, right. It's one of my favorite openings ever.
And I've watched that alternate ending, and it is garbage.
It doesn't go where you think it's going to go.
There's a monster. I'm ready for it to be over.
Well,
But I'm not sure I can even fully explain why I love this movie so much.
I had some issues with this scene.
My feelings on it have not changed.
I fell asleep until the screaming. This is actually where I started enjoying the movie.
This is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema.
I thought that should have been cut completely.
Oh!
Fine.
Well, I'm sure it's artistic and you just don't get it. All right, we're back. What are we doing? Yeah, four friends in a movie, Fellowship of the Reel. This is second season. We're doing sequels. This is another in our series of sequels. We did Terminator 2, and now we're doing Karate Kid 2. This was Chris's pick, yes?
Correct.
Okay. Do you like this movie, yeah?
I love this movie.
Like this movie.
I love this movie. I'm a very big Karate Kid fan. So a couple different things on it. We kind of talked a little bit, I guess, off air about it. When we decided to do sequels, some of my, I guess, thoughts going into this were I didn't want a sequel where the appreciation for it, or even maybe some of the story points, like if you haven't seen the first one in a while, you may not get all the story points, or like I didn't want you guys to feel obligated to go back and have to watch the first one before you watch the second one.
Sure.
And you guys do that a lot, which speaks to your dedication. But I didn't want to put you in that situation. So I remembered, all right, Karate Kid and Back to the Futures, those both have like these little recaps before. Even the Rockies have recaps. And we already did Rocky 2, so I didn't want to do another Rocky sequel.
Yeah. Now, the guy who did Rocky directed the first one, right? Or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one. He directed all the first three Karate Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, same director. Yep.
Okay.
So it should hit you in the same feels, sir.
Well, Rocky and Karate Kid 1 do.
Well, that makes sense because Karate Kid 1 and 2 had a very Rocky vibe to it. No, I didn't know anything about that. And that's exactly what I thought was this movie. It feels structured a lot like the dramatic parts of Rocky, where the big battle at the end is almost not even just a piece of the story rather than the whole drama ahead of it.
Sure.
That's what makes Rocky and Rocky 2 so good.
Yeah.
It's not all about fight. And, with a title like Karate Kid, you'd think he's just out there kicking butt all the time.
Sure.
Yeah, and just, I don't know, I probably analyzed it way too much as far as the sequels and what to pick. I found it a lot harder than, I guess, than I thought it was going to be. Because, I didn't want to do Indiana Jones Temple of Doom because we hadn't done Raiders yet. I didn't want to do Lethal Weapon 2 or even Empire because we haven't done any Star Wars. We haven't done Lethal Weapon. And I feel like those are banner movies that will probably get picked at some point or have to get picked. And again, I don't even know if that matters. I was probably overanalyzing, thinking about it too much.
Well, we're going to do Star Trek 2 when we get to my pick, and we haven't watched any Star Trek.
Star Trek. It's not Star Wars.
Okay.
Huh? See? Shots fired, sir.
All right. So
when you get into Star Trek,
Mike 3 now.
No, that's a very good point. And
Star Trek have an overall arc, don't they? Because I sat not but a year ago or so where I watched all the Star Trek movies and I never realized, they take place consecutively.
Yeah, except for, I don't know if one is terrible. Anyway, we'll get into that when we talk about Star Trek, but yeah, anyway.
But no, that's a very good point, Phil. Like I said, that speaks to, maybe I was thinking about this too much.
Well, they say this, that like Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan is one of the greatest sequels ever, and I don't know if that's because Wrath of Khan is a good movie, which it is, or whether Star Trek 1 is just so bad.
Yeah, maybe.
That anything, Star Trek 2 Wrath of Khan is what really Star Trek the first movie.
And I've heard that, and I've seen it. It's been a long time. But also, I guess, to defend it a little bit, even if one, is kind of bad, you've got all how many years the show ran before. Because Wrath of Khan's like a sequel to the show, right? Because it's all the same people. Shatner and Nimoy and all them were on the TV show.
It's a sequel to an episode, yeah.
Well,
because they meet Khan in an episode.
Yes, but it's all,
and they put him on the planet,
right? Everything happened on the show still happened once the movie started.
Yeah,
with Shatner and stuff.
What movie are we reviewing here?
Right, yeah. Well, wait, I want to make sure. Now, the one I've picked, we haven't done the first one, but I just like. To me, the one I picked, I don't know if I should name it or not.
Yeah, we're okay. Show up.
The Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think the reason I picked it is that's what a sequel should be. However many 30 years later.
To me, there's Ghostbusters and then Ghostbusters Afterlife. All that other crap it's like the Terminator thing. I have
like Ghostbusters 2?
Yeah, I like 2. The one with the chick sucks, but the 2 I like.
It's okay.
Whatever.
I mean, it's not as good as the first one, but
we haven't reviewed the first one, but I think everybody
I'm probably
on the planet, I hope,
thought about it too much. Yeah, I probably overanalyzed it.
Whatever.
We're stuck with Karate-Kid-2 now.
Well, that's like, I look for any excuse. Like for this, we're doing the sequels. I will watch the Star Trek movies again. I will watch Ghostbusters 2,
absolutely.
Ghostbusters. I love looking forward to just revisiting all of it. So Terminator 2, get a chance to watch Terminator. I didn't watch the other ones. But I'm such a fan of these movies that I'd like to absorb everything.
Yeah, sure. No, I like to get the continuity.
I like to invite our listeners to do the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I just added another note that I guess swayed my decision is I just read Ralph Macchio's biography.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, about, that it's called Waxing On, and it's about his relationship with this movie and the role of Daniel LaRusso. So it was on my mind. Itching to watch them again. I had the opportunity to do it on the podcast.
Well, when I bought this, the guy selling it to me at Half Price Movies, movie trading company, he was Cobra Kai,
right?
And I'm like, what? And I know that the show exists. I just haven't watched the show. Karate Kid was in my childhood. I haven't watched this in years and years and years.
Oh yeah, probably since I was.
So he was like, oh, Cobra Kai getting back on together. And I'm like, no, I'm just buying these. And again, I watched the first one. I watched the second one. I've got Karate Kid 3. I doubt I'll watch that one, but
yeah, I guess that
I have it.
Also speaks to where we're coming from. I've seen the first 4 seasons of Cobra Kai at least twice, and I've seen the new season. So big fan.
All right. Well, do you have the synopsis or anything of this?
I don't have the synopsis.
Yeah, I mean,
apologize.
You got it, Sherry? Or
yeah.
What? While she's looking that up, sometimes we skip this. Sometimes we get it. What are you calling as the genre? I didn't get the genre either.
Golden Fleece.
Yes. Thank you.
Golden Fleece.
Golden Fleece.
Going to Okinawa.
Yeah. Because I think I nailed that when I thought, hey, this reminds me a lot of Rocky.
Yeah.
And Rocky was a Golden Fleece. And then I kind of watched it like that, like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what I think it is.
Yeah. So just as a reminder, Golden Fleece is number 1, a road spanning oceans, time, or across the street. So as long as it shows growth, it often includes a road apple that stops the trip cold, a team or a buddy the hero needs to guide him along the way.
Yeah.
Usually it's those who represent the things the hero doesn't have: skill, experience, or attitude.
Sure.
Then 3, a prize that's sought and is something primal, going home, securing a treasure, or regaining a birthright.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely some of that. Yeah, so that makes sense.
Okay.
You got the synopsis?
Yeah. And please, I'm not going to pronounce Mr. Miyagi's real first name.
Pat Morita?
Yeah, but there's another name.
Right, his actual name, yeah.
Okay. After learning that his father is dying, karate master Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita, returns home to Okinawa, bringing his protege Daniel Ralph Macchio with him. In Japan, Miyagi is surprised to discover that his old sweetheart, Yuki, has remained single. Meanwhile, Daniel is attracted to Yuki's niece. Oh, I didn't realize that was her niece. Okay.
Oh, in the movie.
Is it
Kamiko?
Kamiko.
Yeah.
But romance must be put on hold while Daniel and Miyagi deal with local bullies and long-harbored grudges.
All right. Yeah, all right. So, anything else preliminary we want to say about this before we get into Money Critics fans? No? All right. Money Critics fans. All right, so this is not something I usually do for sequels or whatever, but I was interested to know the life of this trilogy or quadrilogy or whatever. So Karate Kid 1, which I think still we watched Karate Kid 1 before watching Karate Kid 2, and I was pretty much on board with Karate Kid 1 still. Had a budget of $8 million and it grossed $91 million. So it nailed it. Karate Kid just hit on all cylinders. And I think the beauty of Mr. Miyagi and Daniel's relationship is the gem of that movie. I think it struck all the right chords. You know, the whole mentorship, fatherhood, friendship, love. It was all cylinders, Karate Kid. And I think for a Karate Kid 2, there is still that relationship. And I think it's still a gem of that movie. Mm-hmm. I am going to probably argue that it's the only gem of that movie, but it's there. Now, Karate Kid 2, all right, so for Karate Kid 1, if you're looking at tomato and audience, again, the movie predates that, but over the course of its life, Karate Kid 1 had an 89% tomato meter for the critics, 89% gave it 3.5 stars or above, and 82% of the fans give it 3.5 stars or above, which are very good scores. By the time you get to Karate Kid 2, those numbers have been cut in half almost. So 44% of the critics give it 3.5 stars and 51% of the fans give it 3.5 stars. It had a budget, so that's the movie we're talking about, right? It had a budget of $13 million for Karate Kid 2, which, you know, and grossed $115 million worldwide. So it nailed it financially. And I think that is off the success of Karate Kid 1 for sure. Mm-hmm. People rushed back to the box office, but when they got there, I don't think they enjoyed it as much. I don't remember if I do remember the ending of this movie, so I know I'd seen it when it came out or whatever. But I don't remember much else about the movie previous to watching it again.
Yeah, I the same thing. When it ended, I was kind of like, oh, I remember that. And then it's over.
Yeah, right.
I was like, wow.
Did I watch only the last 10 minutes of this movie? I don't.
Right.
Anyway, because I don't remember, but I must have seen it. Now, by the time you get to Karate Kid 3, which had a budget of $12.5 million, it only grossed $38 million. Okay, on a $12.5 million budget. So from $91 million to $115 million to $38 million. Riding off Karate Kid 2, which means the audience who saw Karate Kid 2 were like, and they didn't go back. Mm-hmm. 15 over the course of its life, 15% of the critics gave it 3.5 stars, 35% of the fans. So
you're talking about 3 at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
So from 89, so if you're talking about fans, 82% loved it, 51% loved it, 35% loved it by the third one. So it's starting to dwindle if these are your metrics.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I don't know why that should be, but I think as we talk about Karate Kid 2, I have some thoughts about it. I didn't think this was a bad movie, but I thought it, anyway, we'll get into it. So Karate Kid 2 still nailed it, $115 million on a $13 million budget. You can't argue that that's a fail, but fans were not as enamored with this movie as they were maybe the first one.
I really don't remember watching.
Yeah, I remember the ending, but I don't remember.
I remember seeing the first one.
Yeah.
And we have the third one. I'm going to watch it because I don't remember that one.
I don't even know what that was about, to be honest with you. I wasn't one of the ones that saw it when it came out, for sure. I remember seeing Karate Kid 1 in the theater. Maybe. I'm not even certain of that. I had to have been because I saw it way back when it came out. I
was having flashbacks. I had Karate Kid. I was making dinner or whatever and watching Karate Kid. And these flashback memories would come on when Mr. Miyagi was saying, "Banzai." And I was like, I used to be a little kid running around going, "Banzai."
Yeah, well, that's that first one, right? Yeah.
And then, you know, the chop, you know, or death and honk.
You did it right,
I totally blocked those memories out, totally forgot about them until I watched this movie again.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So obviously I haven't seen this movie in
Yeah, I don't.
And then anytime you're doing anything, it's always wax on, wax off.
Oh yeah, no, that's because even in the special features, the writer of that movie talks about that it's become part of the canon or whatever of American lingo now. Wax on, wax off, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole because we could do it all day or whatever. But there's obviously with Cobra Kai picking up these characters 30 years later, there's lots of callbacks and stuff. And one of my favorites is the new young kid is going to clean some windows, and he's kind of, you can see him doing the motion, the wax on, wax off, and he asks Johnny Lawrence, whatever, hey, is there a certain way I should clean these windows? And so, like, as an audience member, even though Johnny doesn't know wax on, wax off, it's Karate Kid. You're expecting that.
Yeah.
And his response is, yeah, I don't really give a shit. So it's really good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
They play with the conventions a lot because they have a lot of really cool tributes and callbacks, but it's when you kind of least expect it.
Now tell me about that. I haven't seen it. Is it on? It's a series?
It's a series. It's on Netflix now. It started on YouTube Red, but it's has like 1 or 2 seasons on YouTube Red, which I'd never heard of that. And then Netflix picked it up, and now there's like 5 seasons.
Oh, really? I didn't realize there were that many.
Yeah, it's 30 years later, and it's basically Johnny Lawrence never got over getting kicked in the face, and like he's kind of a loser. And he ends up, obviously crossing paths with, Daniel LaRusso again, but it's all the same actors that played him. So it's just really cool. And there's younger kids and stuff in there now because Johnny basically tries to get his life together enough and he reopens Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And obviously Daniel is not having that shit. Yeah. So.
Well, it's interesting because at the end of Karate Kid 1, he seems to have grown because, he hands Daniel the trophy, and I had not realized this. He says, I'm sorry, Daniel, you're an okay guy, whatever. Almost like
like he'd grown, yeah. No, and I think at the beginning of this one, where like his sensei, his master, is not appreciative, and he almost chokes him out and kills him and stuff. So I think that feeds into the. His karate, because he was top dog Karate Kid. Right now, it's he's not that anymore, and he's kind of lost or whatever.
Yeah. All right. We ready for mechanics of this thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. We can talk about this, and hopefully Chris can set me straight on some things. I do think that this movie started off strong. Opening image, I have... it picks up literally right after the competition, yeah? Yeah, he's in the shower and they're getting off to go to dinner or whatever.
Well, yeah, he was in the shower and he's like, my karate career, my blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, you are not that good.
Yeah, no.
You won a little local tournament.
Sure.
He's flying high, He's,
he did go from essentially 0 to
hero, yeah.
Mr. Miyagi was like early retirement.
Yeah.
So, and something that occurred to me, and just watching this, never thought about it before.
Yeah.
What is Miyagi doing in there with a bunch of naked high school boys?
Well, he's got his back to him.
He does, and that was lace defense too. But I was like, no. Daniel-san, I wait outside. Like, that's what he should have fucking done. He shouldn't have been in there. Like, what? Like I said, seen it a million times, never bothered me. And then now all of a sudden I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because Daniel comes over to him, and I remember thinking, he's talking to Miyagi right now with his dick hanging out.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Right. Well, I never thought of that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, anyhow. I mean... I think
that's my biggest complaint with this movie, I think, by the way.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Wow. I think. I don't know. I have to look at my notes.
Yeah, so my opening image, fresh off victory, celebrity status, he's signing autographs.
Yeah, price of fame, Mr. Miyagi. Yeah.
Right. Very excited and what I'm calling passionate because Miyagi will say something which I think is probably going to be the theme or very close to the theme of this movie. So yeah, the opening image is very much on a high. Now, the setup, I think, also is going to go to theme of this movie. So Daniel and Mr. Miyagi are friends, compadres. The relationship between these two carries everything. I mean, everybody loves that relationship, and it's beautiful.
He's the father that Daniel lost.
Yes. Now Daniel goes from celebrity status, excited and everything, to sort of a low because he loses his girlfriend who has fallen in love with the football player not before she wrecked his car.
Yeah.
So he's lost his car and his girlfriend the next day. And so he's gone from a high to a low and he's feeling very unfocused.
Yeah, was that the next day or was that like...
No, that was down the road.
Yeah.
They probably should have put up a 3 months later or whatever, right? And they didn't. But yeah, I think it was down the road.
Okay, so sometime later. So anyways, I think those contrast the highs and lows that he is experiencing.
Agreed. Yeah. I think if you're jumping right there, I think you're missing some stuff that was important.
Okay.
The kind of the closeout we were talking about just a second ago with Kreese, right? With the bad guy.
I'm going to get back to that because I think there's some
back to that. Okay.
There's some theme in there. I think highs and lows. I have life can be because so Daniel feels very unfocused. Now we'll get to that in a second. But Miyagi says when you lose focus on the basics of life, and he has him do his breathing or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. I love Daniel's response. What? Praying? Because the way he has his hands or whatever, he goes, breathing.
Breathing. Yes. Now
no breath, no life.
So I think that is going to become, get back to the basics of life. But to your point, in this scene with the bad guy and which is going to be an excellent callback later.
Right.
I said earlier, I think there's two quotes. So I think it's the basics of life, and then he says something else too. But you could have killed that guy or whatever, right? And Miyagi says, for man who has no mercy in his heart, forgiveness is like a living hell or something like that.
Yeah, person live with no forgiveness in heart, worse punishment than death.
He
says, you could have killed that guy. Why didn't you? Yeah, and that's what he says.
Worse than death.
Which is how Sato's living.
Yes. Now, this will come up, and I think I've put all this together, but I think it comes a little bit later when Daniel is questioning Miyagi is why he didn't fight Sato. He says, even if I win, I lose. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, because he's going to make this big deal about karate is only for defense, but if I lose, I lose. Even if I win, I lose. So there's this very much.
Before they leave, you mean? When they're in his house?
Yes, I believe he says.
He's packing and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what, never put passion before principle.
Yeah. That was the other thing I was going to say. He has this never put passion before principle. Karate is only for defense, not for fighting. Even if you win, you lose.
Which I think also speaks to, because it's kind of a running theme throughout the whole series, in my opinion, at least the first three, is it takes Daniel, I guess, maybe because he's a kid or he's stubborn or whatever, it takes him a while to learn that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, karate's for defense only, even though that's rule number one. Because we were talking about a minute ago in the shower. He's all talking about his career and all this bullshit, and Miyagi's not thinking that at all, because you fought because you had to, because they were fucking bullies beating your ass every day.
Right.
We're not going to turn this into some kind of,
In the first movie, he was doing some kind of karate before Miyagi.
He went to the Y.
Out of a book. Went to the Y out of a book.
So he's learned the wrong way his whole
from day
life.
one.
Until Miyagi comes back and, karate is not offensive, it's defensive.
Yeah, and sort
of
of
last resort, if possible.
Bringing him back into focus almost at that point. Your focus is on the wrong aspects of karate, and Miyagi brings him into focus on that.
Right.
And that idea, the basics of life and this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think the movies cannot be faulted for the high themes they have and meaningful value, and certainly the relationship between Daniel and Miyagi. That is not a weak point in either the first one or the second one. Mm-hmm. All right, so was there anything more you wanted to say about that scene with the bad guy?
Just I think it sets up the stakes for this one. Like even the music at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like you had these ominous Japanese drums that weren't part of the soundtrack of the first one, I don't think.
Okay.
Right? Like so it automatically sets up things are going to be different this time around. The stakes are higher, right? And I feel like that's the first time like there might have been a little bit of blood, I think, when he and Johnny fought, right? But this dude's knuckles are all bloody,
right, yeah.
And it was two grown men fighting. It wasn't kids,
right?
It's two grown men fighting, glasses getting broken, and then the whole conversation about you could have killed a guy. I feel like it's Daniel's first exposure to how lethal karate actually can be.
Yeah. Right. No, I think that's true.
Because there's, life and death stakes later on in the road. It's just kind of hints showing to the audience that
he
this
says
one's going to be different.
Yeah, he says to Miyagi, Daniel says to Miyagi later, when Miyagi has decided to fight Sato, having no choice, this isn't 3 points and you're out. This is...
I know what happens, yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. All right, so the catalyst I'm having as the letter arriving saying that Mr. Miyagi's father is dying, and we get the backstory with Sato.
Yeah, because he invited Daniel to live with him because his mom was moving upstate
to Fresno. Yeah, he was having to move. He was going to have to go live with his mom in Fresno. Yeah,
for 2 months. Yeah.
So Daniel's stuck with Miyagi, and now Miyagi gets the call.
Yes,
to
go. Sorry, it didn't work out.
And I really like the way they did that with the mailman because Miyagi's a friendly guy to everybody.
Oh yeah, he would. Yeah, any other time
and he's ignoring this guy who's trying to have a conversation with him. I think it really shows like how important Okinawa in this letter, whatever it is, to him. Like I thought they did a really good job of setting that up.
This is absolute rock in the pond kind of situation, and I think I like that they give more backstory. Like Miyagi was such a beloved character in the first one. I think it was logical to explore his story in this one.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it becomes because Daniel was a fish out of water in the first one. This kind of takes you as the viewer now knowing Miyagi and Daniel and putting Mr. Miyagi now in that fish out of water type of thing.
Yeah,
and Daniel's going along with him to support him.
Yeah, there was a couple times where I'm thinking, did the roles reverse? Is Daniel now the mentor to Miyagi? And because he talks about his father when my father died and this kind of thing, and Miyagi. Yeah, so I think Daniel steps up a little bit to almost be a mentor to Miyagi for a few minutes, Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess because my thoughts, I just keep thinking about you said it was a natural place for the story to go, and I agree. But maybe, only 51% of the fans agreed, right? I mean, what else did they want to see? And because when you're going over it, my thought was, okay, well, maybe they wanted to see Daniel go back to the tournament.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens in the third one. So,
is that right? Yeah.
And they, and those dropped even more.
Well, that's the thing.
I don't know.
That's what I was going to notice.
Where do you go with this one?
Yeah.
Is
Daniel walking around the street kicking everybody's ass, like you said earlier, joking around, like.
Had Karate Kid gone the path of Rocky,
Yeah.
like
In a
maybe he
career,
had lost the first one.
Right.
And, go back for the second one. And now he's got to face bigger and badder opponents like a Mr. T level thing in the third movie. I don't know. Would it have been better? Would it have been more well received? I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that all of that goes against, and maybe in a way the writer wrote himself into a corner, all of that goes against Miyagi's defense only. Like,
Exactly.
We're not fighting.
Yeah, you can't have Daniel LaRusso turn into a superhero like Rocky Balboa did.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just a normal guy because I was thinking in this movie, it would have been awesome if, Miyagi pulled Mickey and died.
Yeah.
Like he got in the fight, died, and then the third movie he has to go fight somebody.
Daniel's on his own. Yeah.
They could have taken it that direction. I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, nobody wants to see me. Yeah. I think they got a little too fixated on everybody loves Daniel Miyagi, so they'll because I don't know. We'll get into it.
Get into it. Yeah.
Anyway,
but we agree Catalyst is the letter, right?
Yeah, I believe it's the letter. So there's this debate. Daniel wants to go with him, and Miyagi doesn't want him to go, and then he convinces him. Because the break into two I have is them flying into Okinawa.
Agreed. No, I have that too. I feel like they're with the again, just they did a really good job with exposition. Like they're waiting in line together to get a passport.
Yes,
that could be a very boring scene, and it's not long. It's short and tight. But we get some more backstory about kind of what's going on or whatever.
Yeah.
There's even a throwaway line about how he can get a passport so quickly.
Yeah.
Right? Explaining that. And then there's why he's packing. There's more exposition about Sato and Yuki and just all of his, I felt like all the exposition was very, very tight and well done.
No.
It's them kind of sitting around talking, but to me, I feel like it's, like you said earlier, the world wants to know, fans of this want to know more about Miyagi because they didn't get shit about his backstory. So everybody's there. They want to know about this. Right. And not only are we learning more about Miyagi, but back to the scene you were talking about with the never put passion before principle, he also talks about the honor thing. And he's like, Daniel's like, what? This is like 30 years later or whatever.
Yeah.
And, he says, Daniel's in Okinawa honor very serious.
Right.
And then I think there's even like a musical cue there. Mm-hmm. So again, it's just showing you that like they're about to step off into this world that is not 3 points and you're out stuff. I just feel like they set it up really well.
No, I have no
raising the stakes. So again, I guess I don't understand. Like that's what you do with a proper sequel. So
no, absolutely.
I not liking it. I don't know, that annoys me.
Well, I don't have any problem with the first act.
Yeah.
I think we'll get into this, but I think the second act is there's a little bit too much fat in it. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. It's 2 hours, which surprised me when I started up. I thought I remember it being more like an hour and a half, but it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours? I didn't realize that.
How long was the first one?
Don't remember.
Yeah.
Because I didn't feel the first one was that long at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I agree. The debate, he has to convince them or whatever. Let me go or whatever. And does it bother you at all that, like, because if Daniel's the main guy, right? Like, he has this debate, like the debate's between the two of them. He's trying to convince Miyagi to go, but his decision to go is kind of off screen. Like you see him, the wheels turning that night before.
Yeah.
Because after the honor is very serious, like, oh shit, Daniel wants to know more about it. And so do we. I hope he goes with them.
Yes.
Yes. As opposed to some karate deal in fucking Fresno or something.
No, I think Daniel debated, and then I think Mr. Miyagi is like, no.
So that didn't bother you the way they
or
nothing?
I don't think so.
No. We saw the wheels turn, and that was enough.
Yeah, but Miyagi and Daniel do sort of debate about him going to Okinawa with him.
Yeah. No, they do. Yeah.
When he's waiting on the cab, or Miyagi is up.
Daniel's supposed to meet him there, yeah.
Yes, to send him off, not to go with him. So he seems a little disappointed. But then, I didn't have a problem with the debate or any of that. No.
Just a quick aside.
Yeah, how long was it?
Karate Kid 2 was an hour and 58, I believe. Let me see. Let me double verify that. Hour 53.
Yeah.
Karate Kid, the original one, was 2 hours and 6. So the original was longer.
Really?
Huh. And then the second one started out with 5 minutes of the first movie.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So breaking into two, I have them flying into the second act right on the plane. Okay. Now, for fun and games, I have written in parentheses the bulk of this movie, such as they are. Okay. And I've listed them before we get to, and like I said, you can tell me how I screwed this up before we get to, the midpoint or whatever.
I appreciate your confidence. You always throw it out there like I'm going to straighten you out like I know anything.
Well, no, I mean, because I am not as enamored of this movie as you are. And
what?
No, I know. That's almost feels like sacrilege to say because, Miyagi, my God. All right, so here, let's just go through this and then we can unpack it. All right, so there's the car ride in what I'm calling.
Whoa! You're skipping stuff, man.
What am I? What are we missing here?
It's not overly important, but I'm gonna say anyways.
Yeah,
there's more exposition on the plane and more setting up of the stakes.
Sure, yeah.
First, little bullshit, funny thing, you can't find Okinawa, and just Miyagi has a good line about because he's tired, and Daniel's fucking with him, asking him questions or whatever.
Yeah.
Daniel said, "Look in the morning, maybe it'd be there in the morning, right?" So he gives it up, but then Daniel still can't sleep because he's thinking about this journey and where he's going and all this mystery. And he asks him about the Sato and, could you beat him? Well, we had the same teacher. What do you mean? And Rose is his dad. And Miyagi, it's not just father in their family. He asked, his father to make an exception this time.
Yeah, right.
And then he asked, well, do you think your dad would referee if you guys had fought? No referee. Well, how do you know who won?
Yeah.
And then reveal to the death.
Yeah.
Again, no point. I don't know. I just really like the stakes, No,
I think all that is hitting on all cylinders.
It's kind of to James' point. I think it, in a way, this kid was thinking about a career. You're not that good, man. You know what I mean?
Right. Well,
and now you're about to go into a fucking
you've got a
life or
bum
death
leg.
and a bum leg, and now you're going to a life or death situation.
Sure.
Yeah. All right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
no, that's good. I enjoyed
Daniel's son. But
that whole plane ride was. I think everything is good until they land in Okinawa.
Sorry, to take it all the way back to the beginning. After the shower, and I've watched the first one, and his leg's all busted up. They're talking about going out to dinner. I'm like, you need to go to a hospital. Your leg is broken. It's been kicked so many times.
Yeah, no, right.
Pizza makes sweeping the legs better, man.
Sure.
You know what I mean, you have pizza and.
Well,
Yeah, no, you're right.
All right. So there's
breaking into 3 and it all goes south. All right.
2.
I mean, excuse me. 2. Sorry.
There's this car ride. Okay, so they get picked up at the airport, and then immediately we're crashing into Sato and his troubles.
Yeah.
We learn more about that. He wants to go. The village is now basically paved over and has become Kadena Air Base. Daniel meets Kamiko. Miyagi meets Yuki again and sees his father that Yuki never married. That we get to the family dojo. The father is dying, and he summons both Sato and Miyagi, and he wants them to reunite. I'm going to go through this real quick. These because all this is the bulk of the movie, right? Wants them both to be at peace, but Sato will not have it. It gives Miyagi a ticking clock, right? Okay, out of respect for 3 days, I'll let you mourn, but then we're going to fight.
Well, he gives him several ticking clocks, I guess, because he when they first pick him up at the car, which is not what they're expecting from the airport, right? They're expecting friendly greeting. Instead, they get picked up by bad guys, right?
Yes.
And you see your father, then you see me,
right.
Or whatever, right? I don't know why I turned into Arnold all of a sudden, but
welcome to Okinawa.
Right, exactly.
Did you come here on a chopper? Anyway. Yeah. Go see your father, and you see me. Then out of respect,
after he dies, out of respect,
3 days.
3 days to mourn, and then
Daniel causes trouble for the nephew, the false weights.
Yeah. All right. So Stacey made a comment.
Yeah.
She feels like Daniel not looks for trouble, but calls it to himself. And I don't know, the whole the weight thing, that guy was ripping them off. He's a dick, and the whole thing later on, Chosen's you have disrespected my honor or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
What honor did you have? You were stealing from people, fucker.
No, right.
Yeah.
No, well, he's got his own conceptions of honor.
Right.
Well,
I mean, he's a good bad guy, but that always annoyed me.
But obviously he has no honor and no courage. I mean, we see that later anyway.
Mm-hmm. He crushed his hand in the handshake.
Yes.
Setting up, I'm the bad guy.
Sure, which is a shock to Daniel. The false weights, Miyagi sings for Yuki. Daniel talks with Kamiko. I have Bullies 2.0. Sherry was getting impatient with this movie because it seemed like every 12 seconds bullies were bullying. If someone bullied that much that often,
it was almost cartoonish.
Yeah.
And the look on Daniel's face was like, really?
Yeah.
Again? He's like, okay, I'm tired of this.
Well, in one of the scenes, they went to work on the garden. They started hacking up the garden. And I'm like, okay.
No, these guys are juvenile, straight up bullies, right?
That's their only livelihood, the village. And they're taking their livelihood by destroying the crops. Yeah. They were selling the crops back to them, right?
Yes, they couldn't fish anymore, so they went to vegetables, and Miyagi talks about that. There's Miyagi and
so
Yuki.
them destroying the crops, they're not just
headlooms. Sato was going to bulldoze this place at to try to get Miyagi to...
The stakes keep rising, yeah.
Yeah. Miyagi and Yuki have a tea ceremony. Daniel goes sightseeing with Kimiko, the ice-breaking scene. And we're glossing over this, but we can go through this as much as you want. But I'll make a point in a second. Meets with Sato, tries to make peace.
I'm getting impatient with all this bullying, sir.
Right. Dance with... Daniel goes to a dance with Kimiko. The nephew tries to bully him again, and Daniel does what Miyagi had talked about. And
set up and pay off.
Sack whack, right? In the jewels.
Sack whack.
Sato busts up the dojo. Miyagi stops it.
Miyagi special.
Yes. They prepare to go home, and then Sato bulldozes the farm to compel Miyagi to fight. So what I'm saying is...
All of that's fun and games?
Yes. All that. There's. I told Sherry, I said, there's like endless scenes of staring at each other's eyes, either Miyagi and Yuki or Daniel and Kimiko. There was all this emphasis on these two couples coming together and finding love, and these were the fun and games, and they were not even that fun. Like, yes, Kimiko is beautiful, and Dan, yes, there's this, but it just seemed all very bloated, and this was on and on and on and on.
So him staring googly eyes at Allie in the first one didn't bother you, but it does here.
But it wasn't prolonged. Like, there was several sequences of this repeatedly to me over and over again. The dance, the tea ceremony, the sightseeing.
Tea ceremony was after sightseeing.
Yeah, but there's just the fun and games seem more like romantic drama than, because there's and then the constant every 5 seconds the bullies show up.
So what I'm hearing is wasn't enough action. There's a bunch of just looking into each other's eyes and romantic stuff, but then the action pieces were the bullying, and you didn't like that either.
Well,
what did you like?
None
of it.
Upon retrospect. That sounds a lot like the first movie. However, in the first movie, it was broken up with training. Like, it was love, going out on a date, bullies show up, Daniel goes back to Miyagi, and they train. He'll either sand the deck, wash the car, whatever.
And I bet you got more chores for me.
Yeah. This movie didn't have that like third element. It was just bullies and love story and bullies and love story.
They do the kata the one morning after the dad dies. They do it together, right? Showing his growth, because he even gets Miyagi, right?
Right.
And then on the dock with when he's learning the secret of the drums, right? Which the drum set up, and that's a huge payoff.
No, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
But with the thing, he almost kills himself because he's an idiot, and he pulls the cord, and the thing comes down, rips his shirt. Daniel-san, you okay? That's pretty stupid. Miyagi said the same thing.
That was good, but I remember just...
Well, that's fun and different.
Yeah, I guess the pacing was off for me on this.
So it did seem, I'll give you this much. It seemed slower than I remember.
You're right. It was a little, yes.
I didn't remember this movie being slow at all. And there were moments when it was slower.
And maybe that's it, because I did not...
It escalates with the bad guy, though, with Chosen or whatever. Because first it was just Miyagi and Sato. And then this guy, Chosen's being a dickhead. He's just a dick in general.
Yeah.
But then once Daniel, reveals, with the weights or whatever, now he's out to get him.
Sure, yeah.
And Daniel's just there, just minding his own business. They have the 3 days to mourn. And the place is about this fucking big, so there's only so many things to do. So yeah, he's going to keep running into, Kimiko or whatever, and Miyagi's finding his roots and shit again, right?
Yeah, right.
Maybe Miyagi didn't have a whole lot to do, right? But it says his being reunited with his long lost love, right? The dude keeps showing up to fuck with him. Yeah.
All right.
But it's just twice, right? On the bullying, it's when they're doing the little dance thing, and he says, "What is this, a baby rattle or whatever?" Because Daniel-san's out there trying to figure out what it is, and Kimiko comes over and she makes comment, it looks like a dance, blah, 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 and then the bad guy shows up, Chosen, and kicks his ass and tries to take it, right?
Yeah.
And then he, after the ice thing, which to me, I don't know if we're ready to get into that or not, but the ice is not fun and games to me. That's your midpoint. That's your false victory. Miyagi and Daniel win against Sato and Chosen.
All right. See, okay. Mm-hmm. I have
and I guess he's bullying him there too, because Daniel just, hey, what's this cool ice thing they're doing? And then one of his goons sees him, runs off, and next all of a sudden Chosen shows up and
he thinks it's going to be an easy mark
into the thing.
Okay,
you recognize Trevette, by the way?
Yes. Yeah. No, we had no idea.
Mouth? But
yeah. No, I had no idea. But Sherry was like, "Hey, look who that is."
To me, that's a midpoint.
Okay, so you have that as the midpoint.
Yeah, because false victory, because they beat them, right? Because it's all about this tension and fighting, right? Well, they find a way to beat them or fight each other without actually trading blows.
Okay,
right? Because Miyagi doesn't want to fight, but Daniel can karate chop some ice all day long. It's not gonna hurt anybody.
No, I
in a big moment because he just barely got through 3 or 2 of them or whatever, and he's got to break all 3 right, wrong, all 6. Like again, raising stakes.
Yeah. All right. I
probably got a lot of nostalgia for the ice breaking scene, but that's like one of the coolest scenes I saw when I was a kid.
That's true.
I still like it.
I remember that ice scene. Yes.
Yeah, I seem to remember that ice scene.
And it's a callback to a payoff to the focus. Because if he hadn't done that, he wouldn't have
because he does
6.
his. Yeah. No, I hear you. I have a false defeat midpoint.
Where's that at? Like in the. Yeah, what happened for their?
Because Miyagi does not, and on principle, is not going to fight Sato.
Correct.
But Sato puts him in a position that if you don't fight me, then I will come back tomorrow and everything here will be gone. So now Miyagi has to use his karate for defense.
Right.
If you don't fight, this village is gone.
Yeah, and he secures the village.
And he secures the village.
Yeah, even if he loses.
So I have a false defeat, midpoint, challenge accepted. Kamiko, he has to fight Sato.
That's my false defeat. All is lost.
Yeah. Okay. Because
he's fighting against having to fight him the whole time, and finally he gets put in a position where he fucking has to.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have that as the all is lost.
Because Daniel's about to because he says here's my last will and testament.
Yes, yeah.
You get the truck and the house back home. I don't want the truck and the house back home. I want you.
Right.
We're as an audience, and Daniel, 3 points. I know what happens. Like Miyagi may die, like James was saying.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to be an all is lost.
Okay. Because I don't know that I even have an all is lost. I have a bad guys close in. Oh, I do have false victory. I have a false victory. All is lost.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if your midpoint was defeat, then your victory's it's going to be victory.
Challenge accepted. And then Kamiko and the tea ceremony with Daniel, so another stare into each other's eyes scene. The bad guys close in, I have is this storm rolling in, which turns into, and again, I couldn't really nail down a bunch of bad guys close in because they've been on his ass since they landed. But I have a bad guys close in as the storm, which I think is, you can either look at 2 ways. Oh, that's convenient. Or I think it's poignant that nature and the universe does not, almost intervenes. Yeah, it's almost a spiritual thing,
Right.
Because Miyagi rescues Sato, and that starts to turn Sato around. False victory, rescuing Sato. The village is destroyed, and the nephew is branded a coward. But Sato and Miyagi are reconciled, which is going to be a false victory because the nephew now
shows up later,
who has been branded a coward by his cowardice. Daniel goes out, climbs that light pole in the storm, rescues a little girl when the nephew lowers his head and turns away. He won't do it.
That scene bothers me. I don't understand why the little girl didn't come down.
Well, she's a little girl.
Before the storm got so bad.
Yeah, other than the shower thing with creepy Miyagi at the beginning, that was my other note about it.
Yeah, but
they all forgot about it. They're all hanging out in the bunker. No shit, this little girl that saved all of our lives, by the way, by ringing the fucking bell. Yeah, I'm with Sherry. Like, what are you a bunch of dicks? What are you doing?
Okay,
let that poor girl up there. And then there's 30 grown men in that bunker, but Danielson's the only one that goes out there and he trips and falls. Like, oh, now you help me. Thanks, dicks.
When I think it was Mr. Miyagi shut the door, I said, what about the kid ringing the bell?
Oh, Danielson, no time. She's,
He doesn't say that.
No, I'm making it up.
No, but Daniel becomes the hero, and the nephew.
And that's why she's still stuck up there on the pole, because the writer needs her too. I'm with Sherry. Yeah, they fucked up leaving her out there.
Well, that is my false.
Should have had her, all they had to do was show her we're writing the thing again, but have her start to climb down, then have the ladder fall apart. So now she's stuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. But Daniel becomes the hero shaming the nephew, who really ought to be shamed.
Yeah.
His idea of honor
is so twisted
in his own mind that he doesn't even know what it is.
Right.
He thinks he is honorable. Well, you're not.
Right.
And I hate to break it to you, So now this nephew has a grudge against Daniel, setting up this climactic battle in the end. Now it's going to be Daniel and the nephew, not Miyagi and Sato.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought so now I'm looking for, at this point, if that's the false victory, all is lost. I don't know. I guess Dark Knight of the Soul was what I never really nailed. Well, I do have it, but it's very fleeting. So anyhow, you this break into 3, which I couldn't really pin down. So I called it the bone dance at the castle. And the nephew wants a fight. And Miyagi is saying, not tournament, Daniel, this is for real when he's going to.
Right.
And then I have the Dark Knight of the Soul dig deep down because Daniel is getting his ass kicked basically. And so I have this Dark Knight of the Soul dig deep down, the especially with Miyagi doing the thing, but Daniel starts to assume he gets in position to do the drum dance technique. Now I did think it was very cool that he tries the crane technique.
And it doesn't work.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I did like that. And then Mr. Miyagi doing the drum thing and everybody in the village doing the drum thing, which gives Daniel his dig deep down.
Yeah, right.
Which I'm calling Dark Knight of the Soul because when the crane thing doesn't work, that's got to be the darkest point. Because now Daniel, what else is now his arsenal is gone.
That's the only bow in his quiver right there.
Yes.
It's like, and then go back to, you wanted to be a professional? All you got's the crane kick? Well, that's illegal in most tournaments.
Right. And you do 3 rounds of that. The guy in the 4th round is like, I know what he's going to do.
Right. But to your point, I felt like he put up a decent fight against Chosen, who was way better.
Sure.
And
No,
the
he
guy's
got
trying
some
to
licks
fucking
in.
kill him, not just get some points. I felt like
Absolutely.
the fight went back and forth pretty better than I remember.
Right. No, Daniel's a scrapper. He's got some jersey in him. He's not going to
jersey. He's got it.
What he has, he's going to use and to some effect.
Yeah.
But I thought the Dark Knight of the Soul dig deep down the drum technique was very effective. That's the scene I remember. I don't remember the movie, but I remember that scene and being very motivated at that point. And then the closing image, the nose callback. Wrong answer.
Because Daniel could have killed the guy too.
Yes, he says life or death.
Life or death, live or die, man.
Live or die, man.
Yeah.
Die. Wrong answer. And the cheering of the village or whatever. Closing image, Daniel, and we could go back and talk about this stuff, but closing image, Daniel has put principle of passion above his passion. Which I'm calling defend the defenseless, not the celebrity. So because when Kimiko got hit, I'm like, okay, it's on now, motherfucker.
Right.
And Daniel feels that way too, right? So
Daniel should have demanded that she go across and then I'll throw the bridge.
That's
she can't get hit in the face, but I thought about it.
Yeah, but she's laying there most of the rest of that fight. She's out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But never get her demand she goes across safe with everybody else, just you and me, and then that way she doesn't get hit in the face later on.
Right. But now he's using, whereas Miyagi was going to defend the village, obviously he's trying to defend himself, but on principle, he is fighting and defending Kimiko and anyway, so he's no longer fighting because it's cool, because he wants autographs, because he thinks it's going to make him popular.
Right.
Anyway, I have him putting principle of passion at that point, which is a nice closing image from his opening image where he's signing autographs.
Yeah, price of fame is Miyagi.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I think all these scenes before that, like the bulk of the second act, it just seemed, and I could go back and watch it, but it seemed a lot of, Hallmark Channel moments or something. I don't know.
I was going to say something very similar to that. Like it was, it was a love story kind of shoehorned in there a bit, and a bit more bloated love story than I would have liked to have seen.
So we're not a fan of Glory of Love and racing across.
I hate Chicago. First of all,
Peter Cetera.
I've never been a fan of Chicago. Anything.
They even have like a little bit of she cheats. They have fun in that, and the race, and she cheated, and all that's to set up the fucking Coliseum for the end.
Yes. But, Now was Kimiko fun to watch? Absolutely. Sherry's rolling her eyes. No, Kimiko is stone cold hottie, man. I'm not going to lie about that. But it felt bloated to me, to the point where I'm like, okay,
Yeah, so I guess let's back up real quick. So to me, like the ice breaking was the false victory, right? They beat them without fighting.
Yes.
So that's what Miyagi wants, right? Because Sato is not going anywhere. As you said, they're constantly messing with them.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear your breakdown of this.
Well, now, like, the very next scene is them showing up, is Chosen and Sato showing up at the village.
Yes.
on the inside destroying it.
Yeah.
And Sato and Miyagi yelling for him and all that bullshit. That's bad guys close in. They're now,
sure.
3 days to mourn is fucking over. Like, I'm here to kill you.
No,
now.
that makes sense, yes.
Right? So that, because they beat him and Chosen's just there because you did my honor and then you didn't even, lose on the damn ice thing like you were supposed to, punk kid. So yeah, he's pissed off.
You're right.
And yeah, the saves just get worse because Miyagi shows up, saves Daniel like he did in the first time, right? With the skeleton Cobra Kai guys or whatever.
Yes, right.
And I don't know where Sato went though. Like he should, if he's so impatient. Like this is part of the bad story, or whatever. He's Miyagi looking around, and then he leaves. Well, obviously he left because then he and Miyagi would have duked it out right then and there.
Yes,
he had to go take a shit or something. But like they, you know what I mean? Like if he hadn't been so impatient, he would have had exactly what he wanted. You know what I mean? But for the story purposes, he had to leave.
Yeah,
because Miyagi shows up and beats up Chosen and all the goons or whatever.
Yeah, he shows up
nowhere around.
Challenges Miyagi and then says
then leaves. Yeah. Oh shit, my stomach hurts.
Midnight. Midnight. Another ticking clock or whatever.
Right. I don't know why this guy wants to fight at so late. Anyhow, I like Miyagi's line about you and nephew lose sleep then. I had no be there. But anyhow,
right. Now, as bad as Miyagi is, and I don't know that guy who played Sato, but I have to check the name, but. Like Jackie Chan, okay, there's a bulkier guy who is a friend of Jackie Chan's, and they went through the orphanage together.
Yeah.
And were both martial artists or whatever. And I almost wanted to say it was that guy. It
was him?
But I don't remember the name or whatever. And he's a little bit younger than I remember. So I don't know if that's him or not, but it's anyway, whether that guy's an actual martial artist or not, I don't know. But Jackie Chan's friend who... And he talks about him in his book. I got his biography over there or whatever. But they went through the Chinese orphanage together,
right,
back in China or whatever. I don't know if that's the guy or not. Anyway, I don't know. So I don't know if he's an actual martial artist.
Yeah, right.
But the reason, and no taking away from Miyagi, but I don't think anybody wanted to see two elderly gentlemen duke it out in karate as much as they wanted two cut guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
having the older guys.
Plus, I think it's always Daniel's story,
Yeah, right. You gotta, as a writer, find a way to get him to fight, not Miyagi. But I don't know. I guess what I was gonna say is Miyagi beats them up, saves Daniel like he did in the first one, but it like that still doesn't solve the problem, and Miyagi still ends up, so they think, having to fight Sato to the death. Right, it's just delaying it or whatever. You know what I mean? Because after that, his plan is we're going to go home.
Yes.
Well, then Sato shows up in the stakes even more, and he's going to bulldoze the whole fucking place.
Yes, I'm going to...
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they were renting the land from Sato.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sato's like, you fight me or this village is gone.
Right.
Which I thought worked. I thought that was leverage that worked,
Yeah, finally hit him where it counts and force him to fight or whatever. So he's like, all right, you win.
Yes.
He's going to fight him or whatever. And the storm comes in, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Maybe the Dark Knight is a little weak. I guess I have it, like the storm comes in, like, to me, like, that's on the Dark Knight of the soul or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's Dark Knight on the Dark Knight of the soul.
Sure.
And not that Miyagi would do this, but, like, they end up saving Sato, like, but he had a chance to kill him and stuff. Right? Because Sato's laying there. Even Sato thinks, you come to kill me while I'm weak or whatever.
Yeah.
But they save him, and all the stuff that you said, he saves him, and then Chosen, is, kicked out of the village or whatever and loses even more, respect and honor because he can't reconcile with Daniel like Sato did, right? And he said hate was wrong, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess the breaking the three is if they, I guess what I had it was saving the village, right? And making everything right. Because there's an air base there. Sato's was feeding off these people or whatever. So now, and the Coliseum wasn't being used, and that's where it belongs anyways.
Yeah.
So that was going to have I guess it's kind of a weird breaking the three, but returning home, right? They think they've got the goal of everything in Okinawa being safe, right? And everything, and all the wrongs have been righted. And to me, I guess when Chosen sneaks in, I had that being like the Hightower surprise. And then him having to dig down deep was the, with the drum and stuff. I mean, it works with the breaking the three too. So I agree. The beats are a little fuzzy towards the end. I did have a thought. I'm going to Terminator 2 it here, like our previous podcast with your question. Maybe not. Maybe y'all can answer it.
Sure.
So I love the beat with the drums.
Yeah.
But everybody had them, right?
Right.
So what was the original plan with those drums? Because obviously they're there to rally Daniel on. But what do you think the original fucking plan was?
Well,
there one?
Well, they had dance and music. I don't know if it was part of some musical ceremony.
Let's go with that. I hope so. Because as soon as when I watched it again, looking at it this morning, I was like, what was the fucking plan for these things? Because I know why they're there, but Everybody had them. Everybody whip out your drums when my boy's getting his ass beat. You know,
I think Miyagi starts it and then the rest pull it out.
So this whole village just carries around those.
That's
little
what I'm saying.
Yeah. It was a dance though, so I don't know. Everybody was dancing.
But it's not just like it's not a drum for like dancing. It's the secret.
But who knows what ceremony or what part? Maybe part of the closing dance was they all whip out their drums and it's a big dance and everybody's together making. I don't know, because it was the foundation of Miyagi karate, right? And so it has some symbolic importance for the village and for Miyagi and all that. Yeah, I can gloss over that easy. I didn't balk at that. In other words, Anyway, I enjoyed this movie, but I did think it was a little bit. I thought it was a little slow, slower than I would have liked, and that's because I never hated all those scenes with Kimiko and all that. I thought that was meaningful.
Yeah,
but to me, it was like, okay, all right, let's move it along here. What's going on? I don't know. I didn't hate it, but I definitely enjoyed the first one more for the pacing and everything.
I don't know. I just like it because it, I don't know, raises the stakes and you learn more about Miyagi. And,
no, all that is good. It seems like they could have.
He fights again, but not in a tournament, right? That could have been like the easy way out, or even maybe the way you expect is,
Daniel, you mean? Yeah.
Said he fights, to the death or whatever.
I mean, talk about rewriting. We're not going to do that, but I mean, you could have had Sato being injured and now Miyagi can't fight him. And so Sato demands they put forth their proxies. Well, my proxy is my nephew. My proxy is Daniel. So now Daniel is fighting for Miyagi's honor against the nephew who's fighting for, I don't know, if you wanted to sort of shoehorn Daniel into having to be the one, which was always going to be.
Yeah, no, you could. But I guess with that, the only problem with that is it doesn't show with Sato coming around. It shows that Miyagi was right.
No. Sato had to come around and
so if he doesn't, then he's douchebag the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
because if the whole theme, back to the theme about living with no forgiveness in your heart is worse punishment than death.
Yeah,
which is where Sato's at till he comes around.
And they could have traded one of those staring at each other's eyes scenes for a scene of Sato having some real self-reflection about what. Even if it's just in the bunker during the storm. Yeah. The storm you could have the storm blowing and the torment outside.
His back's to us, yeah.
And Sato's sitting there, and as
you do see his face.
No, I know. What I'm saying is this is what you could have done instead.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough of the seeing Sato change.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So as the storm is blowing, Sato is sitting there having to come to terms with a guy I hate and want to kill just saved my life. Am I going to fight this? What honor is there in that? And if there's no honor in that, is there any honor in anything I wanted to do? And maybe as the storm clears, Sato now is clearing his spirit on this issue. And at the end of the storm, as everybody's coming out, Sato, I would have liked to have seen more growth on that.
Yeah.
And then when the nephew comes by and is challenged.
He goes out to help Daniel save the girl in the storm. No, Miyagi, let me or whatever. Like that's.
Yes, but
that's after. That's
this is a monumental. For 30-something years, this guy has chewed nails about Miyagi.
Yeah, and then he just changes real quick.
I thought the change. Now, I agree that he had to change, but I would like to have seen
show a bigger impact on that.
Yeah, because that's got to be that's a whole change of paradigm for this guy.
Yeah, and I guess maybe reading into it more, even the ice breaking scene. They show Sato when Daniel's starting to do his focusing routine. Yeah. They show Sato watching him,
and that's got to be reflective to him. Like,
that Miyagi's passing on what his dad taught us, and I'm doing it the wrong way. I'm raising Chosen in hate because Chosen is such a dick because he's
right.
Because he says later on, I was wrong. Hate is wrong.
Right.
So he's doing it the wrong fucking way because he's so pissed off at Miyagi.
Yeah, and we'll honor the.
You have to read into that. They don't explain it, but
yeah. I would like to have seen, but I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's as good as
the first one.
The first one, Anyway,
all right. I think I'm done.
Any other thoughts or whatever?
Sherry, did you like it? Didn't like it? Fell asleep?
Well, talking about the first one, I really, really like the first one. This one's different. It's good. It's different. What I like. We were supposed to move to Okinawa.
Yeah.
Originally, his first orders he received was to Okinawa. And then it changed to the mainland of Japan, and then it changed to where we went, which was in Washington State.
Oh, I thought it was G14 classified and you couldn't tell us.
Oh, no. So I've always wanted to go to Japan or Okinawa. So I enjoyed, even though it was technically, I know it was made in Hawaii.
Right.
It was Wahoo.
Right. Right.
I want to go to Hawaii too. So anyway, I enjoyed seeing like his family home. They had their own dojo with the history on the walls. I love that sort of thing. I really do. I enjoyed the little love interest that Daniel had.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I enjoyed that part, but I guess coming after we did watch the first one and then we watched the second one, I was like, wait a minute, it's so different. But I mean, I still liked it.
It was, yeah. Once we get to our Paskins, I recommend we can.
Well, and I love, of course, watching karate. I didn't like so much in the first one what is it called, the tournament, how they do the tournament. I'd rather watch Mr. Miyagi in there doing the different moves or doing a kata or something.
Yeah,
but
no, I mean, yeah.
But no, I mean, I like to watch them fight or whatever.
Yeah, sure. No,
I would rather watch karate fighting than boxing, like in Rocky.
I think yeah. Well, Rocky is amazing, but anyway. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I did like the first one better though. All right.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah,
I'm saying? Okay.
Yeah, this came out a little bit earlier, but when I was younger, did a lot of sports and martial arts and stuff like that. So Karate Kid was real big back in the day. And I had mentioned on our chat that I'd rather watch Sidekicks, the old Jonathan Brandis Chuck Norris movie, because there's lots of karate in that.
Sure, yeah.
You know, then you got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which there's karate, fighting. There's other examples, and that's why looking back at this one now being older, I associate this one more with Rocky. Karate Kid, Rocky is very similar in feeling than just a karate movie, fun, loose, high kicks everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that even goes to what the philosophy of karate is. Like, this is a karate movie, but it's about the honor and spirituality of karate rather than
kicking somebody's ass.
Yeah. So I'm definitely on board with that. I just felt like there was a lot of slow scenes that.
What are you calling them? Gazing into each other?
Yeah.
I just think it's just because it's so different from the first, or that's my opinion.
It does seem
it's so different from the first one. You think you're going to tune in and see, the same thing, but it is very different.
Yeah.
I think that's why, again, to bring it back to the Rocky, in Rocky 1 he lost, so in Rocky 2, spoiler alert. And then in Rocky 2 he comes back and it's essentially the same movie dealing with the fame and everything. If Karate Kid did something like that where he lost the tournament but you get to see him get even better and then win the next tournament in Karate Kid 2, that would have been a more enjoyable sequel.
Or talking about rewriting it, you have, because Daniel-san is already wanting, it's price of fame, Mr. Miyagi. So in 2, have Daniel go off the rails and to go wholeheartedly into this tournament thing and maybe even have some success and get farther and farther away from Miyagi, where Miyagi has to bring him back. And Daniel has this revelation of, you were right, Mr. Miyagi, and by the end of the movie, he's...
And maybe then go to Okinawa to see...
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Watch 3.
Okay.
I need to watch 3.
So they did them backwards.
Watch 3.
Okay, all right.
No, it doesn't. Like, there's not a whole lot of tournament stuff, but as far as going off the rails and getting further away from Miyagi as far as his principles, and because he's wanting to fight again himself.
Yeah.
There's the bad guys are forcing him to fight because they want to. Cobra Kai wants to regain its former glory,
it's status,
it's status. And again, Miyagi, it's for defense only. So they start to separate. And
okay, all right.
Well, I watch 3.
I love
but there's definitely plenty of scenes of fucking bullying, more and more bullying. I hadn't thought about it till y'all said it. I'm like, shit. All 3 of these movies is him constantly getting his ass kicked by bullies.
Yeah.
Well, I just love the fact that these people take karate so seriously. as if it's not just in a strip mall somewhere next to a a Foot Locker.
Yeah.
Like it's not karate's not that big of a
okay, well that's the American because even Miyagi says
with the belt.
Belts. Chinese have no belts. So it was only introduced because Americans needed
JCPenney,
an incentive. Yeah, Americans need an incentive. The whole belt. Well, what's and that's the American mindset. Well, what do I get for this? What my status?
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Belt to hold up.
Because he said something about I want a black belt, and he pulls out a belt and hands it to him. Here's a black belt. Put it on or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, no. American karate is it's all about I'll kick your ass,
Right. Can be.
Yeah. I much prefer the idea that karate is a discipline and
what I liked about it, because we took it for several years, is it is about practicing over and over muscle memory in case it's for defense.
Yeah. Sure.
In case someone does grab you. Now I know what you do.
Sure, you have a
and
it gives you confidence. Absolutely,
it should give you an automatic reaction, and instead of pulling away, a lot of times it's stepping forward and doing.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's what I do like about it.
Well, the whole the takeaways for me are just self-awareness. Chuck Norris was like the first rule of karate is always know your surroundings, right? Not throw a punch. Like Chuck Norris was like, wherever you are, know what's around you, and then I don't know if you asked during the movie, why are they going so slow or how did they get so fast? I don't know what your question was, but like Chuck Norris in his book says, oh, you want to be fast at karate. Well, you have to go slow. And he estimated that you had to do a move like 10,000 times to build that muscle memory and not as fast as you can.
Right.
And that's why the katas are always so slow.
It was when I think it was when he was painting up. Painting. I said he's going real slow, but that's going to put that into his muscle memory.
Yeah. Which again goes against the idea of because Daniel wants to when do I learn punches? And this, that's the mindset, right? I mean,
right. I want to learn to punch. I want to learn to kick.
Yeah.
Yet he never throws punches or kicks with Mr. Miyagi, but in the tournament, he's kicking ass in ways that...
Yeah, he's doing moves that we don't see him learn.
We've never seen him learn those.
Those are the deleted scenes.
Right.
That's the same...
we have to assume that there was...
Yeah, that's the same problem as Empire. Empire Strikes Back. You never see Luke learn how to use a lightsaber, right? He trains with Yoda. You never see Yoda training him with a lightsaber. And all of a sudden, Luke's like pulling out all these fucking moves against Vader.
You have to assume that.
Yeah, and even as much as Luke has come back and tweaked them, I'm like, really? You can't throw in in the prequels you showed us Yoda wielding a lightsaber doing all some crazy shit. Give us a wide shot, all CGI of Luke and fucking Yoda on Dagobah doing some training. Solve that problem, please.
Yes.
2 seconds you can.
But you have to assume that there are that he spent all this time with Miyagi. Miyagi is
teaching them all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, but you're right.
Same problem.
Anyway.
Okay. Pass all around. Got it.
Pass all around.
No, all right, let's get to so we can get this thing. All right, I have torn down this movie a little bit, but I did not hate it, and I don't think it's badly done. It is a little bit of a slog, though, and so definitely recommend number one. That's a classic, all around. But number two, I think you should consider it. If you've seen the first one, you're going to be interested about Miyagi and that relationship, and so it's definitely worth a consider. Does it live up? I think maybe it stands in the shadows of the first one.
Yeah, I would say pass. Watch the first one. It's a classic. Definitely. I think you'll get all you need out of it.
Yeah.
The second one, the third one, the Hilary Swank one.
I didn't even know there was a fourth one, to be honest with you.
I would just say pass.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. I'd rather do something else.
I think it was for money. I think the first one nailed it with 91 million on a 12 million budget, 9 million budget. Yes. And they were like, oh, well, they love this shit. Let's make a bunch of these. And I don't know.
And they could have, had they gone the way of Rocky, but like I said about Rocky, you end up turning Daniel LaRusso into a superhero that is something far removed from what he originally was.
Yeah.
But that might have been cool to watch. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no. In his biography, he says like after the first one premiered, the first Karate Kid, and had this big opening weekend, the producer like turned to Machio and said, "We're going to make a couple of these."
Yeah, well, Sherry saw something. 10 days after the opening of this, they started filming the second one. Mm-hmm. 10 days after they started filming this one.
Right.
Money.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I want to go with a recommend. But that's because, I guess I like it. And part of me was going to say, if you like the first one, you'll like this, but maybe not. Because you guys all like the first one, but you don't like the second one as much. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess for sure you got to consider it if you really like the first one. And to kind of piggyback off of James, if you didn't get all you need from the first one and you want to know more and see more Daniel and Miyagi, then check them out. Or even, I guess it's fair to say, maybe you're a Cobra Kai fan and you've never checked out the originals of where that came from. It's worth checking out. And obviously don't start with this one. Start with, the first one. But.
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen Cobra Kai. So does that take into account the things that happened in episode or 2 and 3, Karate Kid 2 and 3?
Yes.
He did go to Okinawa. It's just a continuation later.
Yeah. So far, the only thing they haven't brought in is 4 with Hilary Swank.
And why would they?
Right. No, I'm with you. But yeah, no, it's interesting because Machio does not like 3 as much either. He thinks that's the weakest one.
Oh, really?
Where the writers really like 3.
Oh.
And then of course I think that's to me why the show works so much is because the writers really love the whole Karate Kid thing. So and it's funny, they call it the Miyagi-verse, but they're able to, they've combed through these movies looking for nuggets.
Oh, that's cool.
And like they'll play like a scene, kind of how this one did with the recap or whatever. They'll show scenes from the originals and like work it into the current storyline of that episode.
That's cool.
And obviously with Pat Morita, he's gone. So they have, either flashbacks or there's even some scenes with some letters that he supposedly wrote.
Oh, that's cool.
And they do a good job. It sounds like them. Like they pay tremendous respect to Miyagi. It's a little cheesy at times. And I guess you could argue that the Karate Kid movies are too. And that's the only thing that kind of bothers me about it is it's, it comes off kind of cheesy at times, but it's the homage to it and the story and just seeing these actors play these characters that much, and Johnny's fucking great because he's a dude stuck in the 80s, didn't get over it. So he's not PC at all. Okay. So he's a lot of fun. Like he's more fun. Like he's so much fun, I guess, that when Lace saw Cobra Kai first.
Yeah.
And so then we went back, started watching Karate Kids, and he liked Johnny so much that once he realized Johnny wasn't in the second one, he wasn't as interested anymore. And I'm like, why would you like Karate Kid, man? It's not called because he just liked Johnny so much because it's very much Cobra Kai is very much a two-hander. It's Johnny.
Cobra Kai, not the movies. Okay, all right.
Yeah, Cobra Kai, the TV show. He liked Johnny so much so that when we went back to watch the original movies and Johnny's not in 2 or 3, he was less interested because he almost liked Johnny more than grown-up Daniel. That's funny. It's kind of funny. Anyhow.
So, yeah.
Me? I guess I would have to recommend it.
All right.
Well, because, I do want to see 3. I don't remember if I did or not.
I don't think I did.
I do love the characters.
Yeah.
To go and watch his history, to see the scenes with his father, the line that his father said to him when he shows up, it just made me cry.
Yeah.
I was sitting there just
no. I don't hate this movie, and I think I would have, except for the relationship of these characters. That makes me forgive all these movies' flaws.
Right.
Okay. Well, but what I was going to say is recommend it. But just keep in mind, and if I were telling someone, keep in mind, it's not like the first one.
Yeah.
And I would also say we have them on DVD. So if you need to borrow them or buy them from me now, because we have the regular Karate Kid separate. But no, anyway. And then another thing I completely forgot about, and y'all probably don't even know what I'm talking about. On Happy Days, I forgot that Mr. Miyagi.
He was
Al.
Yeah.
I watch Happy Days.
Okay, I completely forgot about that, and we were watching some extra features about that, and then the guy who plays Daniel, I've seen it. Wasn't he on Psych?
Yeah, Ralph Macchio. Yeah, he plays. Yeah, and does he play Ralph Macchio or does he play?
No, he plays a cop.
Oh, yeah, it's sort of a stumbling, bumbling.
Yeah,
cop.
So I mean, I do enjoy seeing them in other things. Yeah.
Yeah, he plays almost a.
Well, apart from what Ralph Macchio was in The Outsiders, he was in The Karate Kid. What else?
My Cousin Vinny.
That's it.
No, I've not seen that.
And he did one
You haven't
called
seen My Cousin Vinny?
He did one
No,
called
I need to watch
Crossroads.
Crossroads was amazing. As a guitar player myself.
Oh yeah, with
Crossroads
No, that's a great movie.
But yeah,
Steve Vai, right?
Steve Vai at the end.
not a whole lot after that. That's one thing he talks about in that biography is trying to distance himself from Karate Kid because anything he went out for afterwards, they were like, is Karate Kid the right guy for the role? And so he was pissed off that he couldn't shake it. And now he's come around where he appreciates it and loves being related to it now. But it pissed him off at the time.
Yeah, because it's paying his bills now.
Sure, but I thought Macchio had some gravitas in these movies, like his dramatic scene when he was talking to Miyagi about his own father.
Yeah, that's so too. Yeah,
I thought, and
as a punk kid with attitude, I think he does that well too. He's very sarcastic and very,
absolutely, and in real life, Pat Morita and Macchio were
good friends.
They really became really good close friends to almost.
I
to the
wondered
point of,
about that.
They some of the extra scenes in the extra features, they shows backstage with Miyagi and Macchio,
I must have
just still photos, and you could tell they're joking, they're hanging off each other.
Pat Morita was nominated for Academy Award for Miyagi for the first one, and they wanted almost said LaRusso. They wanted Ralph Macchio to present it, and he said no. He was I don't remember why he explained it, why he turned it down, but he said later now that's one of his biggest regrets.
Yeah.
And later on, he got a Lifetime Achievement Award. Pat Morita did, so he was able to present that one. He's like, so in a way, I was able to make it up, but it still bugs me that I was a punk kid.
Did Morita win?
I don't think he did.
Yeah,
no, but he just wanted to go up there and I guess say it or whatever, and the nominees are or whatever. But yeah.
Oh, I got you.
But yeah, I don't know. He was a punk kid and regrets it or whatever.
Punk kid. He was 24 when he.
Yeah, but 24.
Punk kid, man.
A 24-year-old.
Let me saying writing it now is 50 or 60 or whatever he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 24. You still don't know a whole lot.
Oh no, absolutely. But I'm just saying he played 15, 16-year-old in Karate Kid when he was 10 years older than that. Which his acting chops in the original and even the second one were really good.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with any
Daniel
of the performances.
LaRusso.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's again the problem is now he's Ralph Macchio is LaRusso.
Yeah, it's like any time someone plays a role like that, I think they have a hard time. Like Stallone trying to shake Rocky or something. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it became Karate Kid especially became iconic. Wax on, wax off, all that. It's part of. It became so enmeshed in our culture that.
Yeah, he says it. He said in the book, it's at the time, for most of his I guess adult life since the movies came out, it was hey Karate Kid, hey Danielson, and he's walking on the street. Now it's aren't you the dad in Karate Kid, or aren't you the in Cobra Kai?
Yeah. Well, anyway.
And he said he's good with it, man. And I don't know, maybe to James's point, because it pays the bills. But
absolutely,
it seemed like it was.
You come to terms with your
legacy.
Your legacy, yes. And as at this point, he's seen that it has meant so much to so many people.
Yeah, he had a lot of stories about that, about meeting people and saying, "Hey, I was bullied and I learned karate." And
well, I was going to say, I wonder how much people took up karate after Karate Kid 1. Right. It had to have been millions.
I was 85, 86, 87. That's all the time when I was in.
Yeah, no, and I've talked about that a little bit as far as because he asked me one time, just why there was such this big karate boom in the 70s and 80s. And I was like, I don't know. I can't really explain it, but there was. It was Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee, and then Karate Kid, and then, Van Damme, Seagal, all these other guys. Just this crazy boom of karate guys,
Well, yeah, and
I was going to say earlier about your point. Yeah, as far as a karate flick, like a movie where people were, some really kick-ass scenes. Yeah, there's so many other movies that have way better fight scenes, for sure. That's not, don't watch Karate Kid for the best fight scenes.
Yeah,
but there's more to it. It's a story there. Yeah. It's not just,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, all right. So, my consider is a strong consider. I do not fault the performances in this movie. I just think mostly the timing, I think.
Yeah, no, and it's just interesting. Some of the things that they're one of the reasons I like it because it's different from the first, or the same reasons you guys don't like it because it's kind of went in a different direction.
Sure,
it's just very interesting to me.
Yeah. All right
then.
Anything else? All right. then we are out. Do you like this movie? Yeah?
I love this movie.
Like this.
Daniel Miyagi. That is not a weak point in either the first one or the second.
All of his, I felt like all the exposition was very, very tight and well done.
I think everything is good until they land in Okinawa.
It was almost cartoonish.
But yeah, there's like endless scenes of staring at each other's eyes.
It was just bullies and love story.
That scene bothers me.
I don't remember the movie, but I remember that scene. And wrong answer.
I agree. The beats are a little fuzzy.
Yeah. No, I know. What I'm saying is this is what you could have done instead.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough.
After we did watch the first one and then we watched the second one, I was like, wait a minute.
Big opening weekend, the producer turned to Machio and said, we're going to make a couple of these.
Yeah, well, Sherry saw something. 10 days after the opening of this, they started filming the second one. 10 days after.